The forest wakes before the sun. Long before light reaches the canopy, the air begins to move with quiet purpose. Moisture clings to leaves like unspoken secrets, and the soil exhales a deep, ancient breath. Somewhere in the darkness, an insect begins its steady rhythm, joined by another, and then many more, until the silence becomes a living thing. This is not an empty wilderness, it is a world layered with time, memory, and survival, a place where every root and wing carries a story millions of years in the making. As dawn slowly spills through gaps in the trees, the forest reveals its complexity. Towering hardwoods rise like pillars of a forgotten cathedral, their trunks scarred by lightning, fungus, and the quiet labor of insects. Vines wrap around them in patient spirals, climbing not in haste but with the certainty that time is an ally. Below, the understory is dense and shadowed, a green maze where light arrives in fragments and every leaf is shaped by competition. Nothing here grows alone, each plant negotiates its existence with neighbors, fungi, bacteria, and animals in a web so intricate that removing one strand can alter the whole. A troop of monkeys moves through the canopy, barely disturbing the branches beneath their weight. They know these trees the way humans know streets, each bend and branch memorized over generations. A young monkey pauses, curious, watching a bird with feathers the color of flame hop between twigs. The bird's call is sharp and brief, a signal to others of its kind that the day has begun and territory is claimed. Sound travels differently here, absorbed by leaves, bent by humidity, transformed into a language only the forest fully understands. On the forest floor, life operates at another pace. Ants march in precise lines, carrying fragments of leaves many times their own size. To an untrained eye, they are simple creatures, but their society rivals the complexity of any city. Underground chambers house larvae, store food, and regulate temperature with astonishing efficiency. Above them, a fallen log becomes an island of abundance. Fungi bloom in strange shapes and colors, breaking wood back into soil, releasing nutrients that will feed future trees. Death here is never an end, it is a transition, a necessary chapter in the cycle. Near a slow-moving stream, a jaguar steps carefully between roots. Its muscles ripple beneath spotted fur, each movement economical and silent. This predator is both feared and respected, a keystone species whose presence shapes the behavior of countless others. The deer that drink from the stream do so cautiously, heads lifting at every unfamiliar sound. Even the fish sense the shadow above, scattering when a leaf falls too abruptly. The jaguar pauses, listens, then melts back into cover, choosing patience over pursuit. Survival in the forest is not about constant action, but about knowing when to wait. Water is the forest's lifeblood. Rain arrives suddenly and often, drumming on leaves with a force that can feel violent, yet it is welcomed by every living thing. Rivers swell and shrink with the seasons, carving new paths, isolating patches of land, connecting others. Along their banks, plants adapt to flooding, developing roots that can breathe underwater. Frogs lay eggs in temporary pools, racing against evaporation. Insects hatch in numbers so vast they darken the air, providing a feast for birds, bats, and fish. These pulses of abundance shape the rhythm of life, linking species that may never directly encounter one another. High above, an eagle circles on rising warm air, its keen eyes scanning miles of terrain. From this height, the forest appears endless, a rolling sea of green. Yet this illusion hides a fragile truth. Clearings cut by humans interrupt the continuity, edges where the forest frays. Roads slice through habitat, changing temperature, humidity, and light. Some species adapt, venturing into these altered zones. Others retreat deeper, their world shrinking year by year. The forest remembers these wounds, even when vegetation grows back, because the original balance is difficult to restore. At the edge of one such clearing, a small community lives in quiet coexistence with the land. Their homes are built from local materials, designed to breathe with the climate. For generations, they have learned the language of the forest, which bark eases fever, which leaf soothes wounds, which season brings which animal. To them, the forest is not a resource to be conquered but a relative to be respected. Stories told by elders carry ecological knowledge disguised as myth, warnings wrapped in legend, teaching children how to live without taking too much. One elder recalls a time when the forest was thicker, the animals more abundant. His memory is not just personal, it is collective, echoing the observations of scientists who measure shrinking habitats and declining populations. Yet even now, hope persists. In places where logging has stopped, young trees rise quickly, sunlight fueling a burst of growth. Birds return first, followed by insects, then larger animals. Recovery is possible when given time, but time is the one thing modern pressures rarely allow. As evening approaches, the forest transforms again. Diurnal creatures retreat, nocturnal ones emerge. Bats sweep through the air, devouring insects with precision guided by sound. Owls call to one another, their voices haunting and soft. Bioluminescent fungi glow faintly at the base of trees, an otherworldly light that seems like magic but is the result of chemical reactions perfected through evolution. The darkness here is not empty, it is alive with movement and communication beyond human senses. In the deepest hours of night, when the forest seems to hold its breath, the temperature drops slightly, and mist forms near the ground. This is when the oldest sounds emerge: the distant roar of a big cat, the low croak of a hidden amphibian, the whisper of wind through leaves that have felt centuries pass. These sounds are reminders that the forest existed long before human memory and, if protected, may exist long after. The story of this forest is not unique. Similar narratives unfold in rainforests, temperate woods, and mangroves across the planet. Each ecosystem has its own cast of characters, its own rules, yet all share a common truth: they are interconnected, resilient yet vulnerable. Climate change alters rainfall patterns, pushing species beyond their limits. Rising temperatures shift habitats uphill or poleward, forcing migrations that are not always possible. The loss of one forest affects rainfall in distant regions, fisheries in faraway oceans, and the stability of the climate itself. To walk through such a forest is to be reminded of humanity's place within nature, not above it. Every breath taken is filtered by leaves somewhere. Every glass of water is part of a cycle that forests help regulate. The separation we often imagine between human life and wild places is an illusion, convenient but dangerous. The forest does not need humans to survive in the short term, but humans need forests to survive at all. As the first light of a new day touches the canopy once more, the cycle continues. Seeds fall, animals feed, rivers flow, and the forest endures, carrying its ancient knowledge forward. Whether this story continues unchanged depends on choices made far beyond its borders, in cities and halls of power. Yet here, beneath the trees, life persists with quiet determination, offering a lesson written not in words, but in roots, wings, and time itself.